Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Goonies World. I am Meanie, also known as Ryan, also known as Squirg. And joining me today is, of course, Goonie, also known as Colin.
And also known as Jubal Tricks.
Jubal Tricks, that's right. And Johnny Farrow, also known as Sean.
Hey, what's up? I'm also known as tonight's Game Master.
That is correct. And our special guest, the Red Rocket, also known as Joe.
Call me Sioux.
Welcome back, Sioux.
Welcome back, Sioux. S-I-O-U-X, Sioux. Yeah, tonight we are going to do our final installment for now of our adventures in Dearth using the system Knave. And so we are on the world of Dearth, which is a fantastical, far future world under a bloated, bruised, dying red sun. And our heroes, Jubal Tricks and Squirg Fallow Shins and Sioux Fastmane, were on their way to the fabled city of Saris Arx, the last citadel, which is so tall it stretches off into the sky forever, or so folks say. But our heroes have been waylaid in the town of Hadoro-Tyros. They've been accused of blasphemy by the cult of denial who rule this town. And after a skirmish with the local gendarmes, they were captured and thrown into the invisible tower, where they were to await trial the next day for blasphemy before the high priest of the Red Circle, or so they heard. Now, the cult of denial denies that the world even exists, that it's just a dream, and the physical world was destroyed when the sun blew up at the end of the Age of Lamentations. But Jubal, long ago, was one of the heroes who saved the world and stopped that from happening and ushered in the Age of Temporary Reprieve with the sacrifice of the elf Julian the Clean, who is now worshipped as a god over large parts of Dearth. But because our heroes have refused to deny this, as blasphemers, they will probably die tomorrow, sacrificed to the gods of nothing, by being shot off the edge of a pyramid slide into a bottomless pit filled with purple smoke. A terrible, terrible fate that we hope to avoid. But our heroes are not ones to sit idly back and accept their fate. They fought fate, and they broke their chains in the invisible tower, and they fought the guards of the invisible tower. And they have escaped from the invisible tower, and now they're running out of it into the dark, narrow streets in the middle of the night, into the town of Hadoro-Tyros and its tall, garden-topped buildings. And exactly where are you guys trying to run to? You know, that front gate was locked, and the priest of the White Circle had the key. The walls are, like, ridiculously tall. Where do you guys want to run off to? I should point out that, you know, you've already made the skirmish. There's a bell ringing in town, which you can only assume is an alarm because of you. So what do you do? Where do you guys go?
Well, you know, guys, I started to suspect that the townsfolk might be sympathetic to us. You know, they didn't seem to have the same ideas that the guards and the that wizard had, or whatever. I think maybe we could seek shelter with, someone that would let us, hide in their house.
Maybe that dude did. Jesus. Too many syllables. Perhaps they do, but I would worry that the powers that be would not. We might put them in danger, is what I'm saying. It seems like they may not believe in the same reality and or lack of reality as the gendarmes and such, but by taking us in, they would be putting themselves at great risk, perhaps.
What do you think, Sioux?
I agree with Squirg, but perhaps we wouldn't be discovered.
Maybe so, maybe so. If you want to get into more residential areas, you certainly have to leave the area immediately outside of the tower, which is where you are now. In fact, you can hear, you didn't kill every single guard in there. You can hear them scrambling around to try to get together. They've got the bell ringing. You start to feel like maybe you ought to take off running in any case, at least in the short term.
Yeah, I was imagining this conversation happening as we're just running in a random direction. Like,
Okay.
roll like a D, roll a D4 or, whatever, and just start one north, whatever.
I say we
Something like that.
we start running towards the residential area, and if somebody volunteers to bring us in, then it's okay. If they see us running and they say, "Psst, over here," and then usher us inside their house where they have a trap door that leads down into a some kind of shelter, then that would be okay.
Okay, well, hopefully you guys can meet some kind of Grandma Moses and escape detection. But for now, I'll assume you're just taking off and running while you're having this conversation. And, you guys did have a chance to see a lot of the city because you were imprisoned in the top of the invisible tower, which was invisible, and you had clear line of sight to everything. You also got marched through the city a little bit. So you think you have a pretty general idea of where a lot of the residential areas are, which is mostly on the fringes. So, even if you just ran in a completely random direction, you'd be running into the, eventually some more residential areas. But as I say, the alarm has certainly been raised, and you guys go tearing off down the street. And the first random street you come to, and you turn the corner, it's a little bit... Now, I will say, the streets here are very narrow. The buildings are extremely tall to maximize the space. Again, the city was Hadoro-Tyros was, taller than it was wide, But turning a corner, you went smack dab into 3 gendarmes who were running towards the tower. Like, they didn't know exactly what was going on, but they knew something was going on. And when they see you, they're like, "Dope!" And here you are in the darkened streets, having run smack dab into 3 of them. And I will have to ask the party to roll initiative, please. On a 4, 5, or 6, you guys will go first. And
4.
Here goes. 4. Hey, you guys are going to go first. So you know what? We always start with little Squirg, but let's start with Sioux Fastman this time. And then, the distance is not that far away. You guys could still get some missile fire off, but they're within running and melee distance as well. So what do you do, Sue? What you going to do, Sue?
Sue's going to attempt subterfuge.
Okay.
Because, as we heard in the previous episode, his axe ain't worth dick.
Well, just because you had a house of whiffs one night doesn't mean you always will. But what sort of subterfuge would you care to employ?
Hey, what are you guys just standing around for? Didn't you hear there was a prison break? Shouldn't you be over there looking for him?
As much as I would love to engage in this subterfuge with you, you had a big fight, a very public fight with the gendarmes. You were, in full view. So, I feel like I ought to at least give you some small chance of this working, but please make a charisma test and I'm gonna step out of the rules as written here with double disadvantage. I mean, really 3 dice, because you're gonna have to really, really do some serious convincing. We need a 16 or greater on one of those 3 dice with your charisma bonus. And we'll see what happens.
Well, with the double disadvantage, I only ended up with a 9.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but like I said, it was a nice attempt, but
He would have to be the dumbest guard ever.
yeah, and there are some dumb ones, but these guys weren't quite that dumb. And now speaking is free, so when you see that they look at each other for like a millisecond. One of them rolls our eyeballs, and then they ready their weapons for their turn. But since you've only spoken, and that didn't seem to do the trick, would you like to abandon subterfuge and see if your axe...
Ask them a question?
Yeah, ask them a question. Or see if your axe is no longer worth dick?
I would, if they're within melee range.
They are. Well, you have to run up to them, but certainly you may rush up and attack one of them, because they do not look like they're in the mood to be fooled.
That's a 23.
Well, you're certainly going to hit that gendarme. Why don't you go ahead and roll damage?
7.
7 points of damage to the first gendarme. And as you guys have fought them before, they're not like the world's toughest opponents. But strike. He cries out. Now there's people, looking out their windows at this point. They want to know what the alarm is all about. And you can hear other footsteps of guards in adjoining streets, and of course the alarm bell ringing. But Squirg, what are you doing?
Me gonna shoot me bow at them, at the gendarme.
All right, go for it.
Is it wisdom? I forget.
Yeah, it's wisdom due to the perception qualities of wisdom. And like I say, you're far enough away that you can't shoot. Close enough to run, but far enough to shoot.
That is going to just be a 12.
Oh no! Well, the arrow flies past them into the darkness, and Jubal tricks. What do you do?
Hey, that's copyrighted voice. I'm going to. I only have the dagger, so I will rush up and
stab.
And do the stabbing.
Doing a little stabby stab action. Of course, don't forget you guys do have spells. You might want to remind yourself of spells.
Some of these just aren't very helpful.
No, I think we randomly determined them, so it could or could not come in handy. But rushing up to do a stabby action, Jubal engages with one of the gendarmes.
All right. Ooh, natural 20.
Natural 20. There you go. That's what we're talking about. Now let's have some nice big damage that we can double.
Okay. Ooh, well, that will be... I roll a 5, so 10 damage.
Now that's what we're talking about. That's what you need. The guy cries out in agony as the dagger slices into him. And then it's their turn. And Jubal, that guy's extremely irritated, and he attempts to bring his blade right down onto your head, but he doesn't. He rolls terribly. In fact, he even with his bonus, he has like a 6. It's just not going to hit you. It's too slow. Yeah, he does. Too slow, and his sword sparks onto the cobblestones, and the guy who Squirg shot his bow at has no intention of standing there and getting shot at again, and lacking a bow of his own, he screams at the top of his lungs, and his voice even breaks a little bit as he does it, and he rushes into combat with Squirg, but he only rolls 1 better with a total of 7, and he's unable to connect with Squirg. I guess he was too slow too. And then the one who has just been chopped for 7 points of damage by our good friend Sioux attempts to make a counterattack, and this one's close enough that I have a question mark. I have a 14 here. Is that greater than your armor defense there, Sioux?
That is, as my armor defense is 12.
Oh no, well, you're hit, and you, sir, will take a big fat 2 points of damage. Oh no. And of course, I know Jubal's already hurt pretty bad from last time. I think he got healed up a little bit, but not much. Yeah,
10 hit points.
Is not doing very well either.
Okay, well, I hope you guys don't all die. I don't want to do a total party kill here on Dearth, but if it happens, it happens. So heroes rise and heroes fall.
And heroes, sometimes they run if they have to.
Heroes, that's right. Sometimes they run if they have to. And so this first round, I think more or less went in your favor. But let's see what happens on the next one. Let's roll initiative. Meanwhile, again, you hear there are citizens watching. No one is offering to, bring you in. 6. Hey, it's your guys' turn. You go first again. This time, let's flip it around. Let's start with wee little Jubal. What do you do, Jubal?
I have another one. I will stick my blade into that same guy.
Yeah, and you've already done 10 points of damage to him, which is great.
Okay, and that will be 17, which will hit.
Oh, that will certainly hit him.
Ooh, 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage. And, I'm afraid this guy just goes down in a heap. You can tell now these guys must only have about, between 12 and 15 hit points. Speak metagamingly, if that gives you some hope.
That was what I theorized.
Yeah, you have some of the lower-ranking gendarmes here. And meanwhile, Squirg, what do? You've now been engaged in melee by the guy that you had shot at, but he's missed you. And what do?
Well, Squirg only has a bow, and Squirg can't use a bow effectively in melee, and Squirg only has 6 hit points, so Squirg is going to run.
Squirg turns and runs. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. And you guys see Squirg turn and haul his flabby self right out of there.
He's going to attempt to go deeper into the residential area.
Okay.
And as he departs, he'll say, "Me catch on the flip side."
Okay, so yeah.
Flab side.
The flab side. Well, you're running forward past the guards into, as you're running away. So really you're doing kind of some linebacker, type of maneuvers as you get through and past this swirling melee. And, of course, the people looking in their windows see where you go. And you know what, Jubal? You almost... You swear you can hear somebody go, "That's the spirit!" As one of them seems to almost be cheering Jubal on, trying to get away. And Sioux, what do you do? This guy's not down yet, but he's right in front of you.
I am going to swing this giant axe in a sweeping arc. And roll a 4, so that's a 9.
That's a 9. Well, I'm afraid that will not hit. Now, I only know the Squirg was running, so there's going to be at least 2 counterattacks here. Oh, Jubal, I hate to tell you, you've just been hit with an 18. Oh boy. And I've rolled 5 points of damage. It's going to hurt. You'll be teetering. You're not down yet, but I know you're close. And meanwhile, Sioux, you're missed, luckily.
So I just wanted to clarify that I have a shield that's a +1 that I keep forgetting about.
Oh, good.
So I guess I would only take 4 of that damage?
No.
Or is... I don't know.
Shield does not soak. It is a...
it just
adds
makes
to your defense,
yeah.
A little harder to hit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, now, you guys might very well wish to run at this point, but we have to roll initiative to see if you're going to get that chance. Meanwhile, Squirg's out of there by now. He's down towards the end of the street, deeper into the residential areas. And let's roll initiative to see if you guys get a chance to run before you get hit again.
Right.
We need a 4, 5, or 6. Don't screw it up, Goonie. You roll the dice wrong, then you guys could be in trouble.
4.
Hey, guess what? It's your turn. What do you guys want to do?
Well, last time that Squirg ran, I followed him. I probably will have to do that again. I don't want to be separated from my traveling buddy. So
I think you're pretty low too, aren't you?
yeah, I am getting
I think you both are.
pretty low. So
Yeah. What are you doing? Sioux, you see your new friends take off. Do you want to follow them, or do you want to stay here and fight the remaining guards plus any more that might show up?
No, how many guards are there remaining?
Well, right now there's just 2 that are still up, but you can hear footsteps, from all over the place.
I think Sioux is going to just have to follow these guys once he realizes he's been abandoned.
Okay. Well, you guys tear off. You follow the other 2, and you guys have run off, and you're doing your best to follow wherever Squirg went. And you're trying to get... But, you find the streets, they're narrow, they're confusing, they don't always make sense. You guys did get a good view of the city, but it's not like you committed a map to memory. And as you never know where these guards... You can hear them running and tramping from all over. And you turn one corner, run smack into a group of 6 of them, but they're all the way down at the end of the street. You're like, "Hey, you!" But you have time to, duck out of there and run elsewhere if you'd like.
Wrong way.
Wrong way? Okay, I'll assume you guys all...
I would like to, at that point, maybe if the 3 of us could duck out of their sight, since, Sue's gonna say, in the heat of the moment, I forgot about this, but maybe this will help. And he's gonna cast disguise on all three of us to make us look like, generic locals.
Because not a terrible idea at all. Not a terrible idea at all. So, you guys, and I picture, a slightly comical scene where Squirg tears around the corner, stops suddenly, Jubal comes right behind and bumps into him, and Sioux comes around behind and bumps into him, and you guys duck back out. And, of course, most of the people are still looking out their windows, and they can see you, but I will assume you go ahead and cast your disguise spell and wave your hand. You got to read it, on its little metal plate, and that one's gone for now, but suddenly, when you look at each other, you all look like regular citizens.
Who are you?
Of Hadoro-Tyros, and but a lot of the citizens see this transformation take place as well, and there's sort of a gasp that rises up, and then you do see a door to a cobbler's shop open. You see it's a cobbler's shop. It's like a great big sign of a shoe over the door, but this guy must have seen it because he looks over at you. Quickly, this way, this way. It. Come with me if you want to live. Hurry.
Well, come on.
Okay, I'll assume you guys rush up there, and then just as you hear the more and more tramping, like guards are like converging from all over on this area, and they sound like heavier bootsteps too, like not like these rank and file schmoes that you've been fighting. But anyway, I'll assume you rush into the cobbler's shop. And he says, yes, get in there. Those bootsteps you hear, those are the vigilant guard, okay? They're elite. You don't want to mess with them all at once. They're horrible. Quickly. And he waves you through the door, and he shuts up the cobbler's shop door, and he throws up a curtain, and he blows out his lamp. And no sooner does he do that than outside, you can see shadows running across the curtain of the guards running around outside, and they seem like they're milling around and looking around, and you got a moment to breathe. As mighty magic you weave, oh man with the great mane.
Yes, I'm quite impressed. I didn't think you had it in you.
Yes. Well,
it's nothing.
Well, it's a lot more than your axe has done. I'm just saying.
Them's fighting words, little man.
Okay.
That's a sick burn right there.
I'm just, I'm still not convinced your muscles aren't made out of paper mache.
Well, you guys get a look around while you're ribbing each other, and indeed, he is a working cobbler. There's plenty of shoe trees in here, and leather patterns, and quite a few nice shoes, some with fancy little buckles. Those of you who are dandies might appreciate some of those shoes with the fancy little buckles. There's some like lace up, knee-high moccasins, like Snake Plissken might wear, or Jack Burton for that matter. Two different films with the same footwear there, but he's the cobbler himself. As the guards are running around outside, and like, where'd they go? You start banging on doors. You can hear them on other sides of the street. I'm Mulligan Cobbler, and I can help you. Many of us here in Hadoro-Tyros believe as you do. We remember the last age, and we watched the age of temporary reprieve begin. The cult was just fringe weirdos at first, but somehow by adhering blindly to this big obvious lie and making the people afraid of outsiders, the cult's grown, and the majority are now afraid to resist them. And if you're the real Jubal tricks that's spoken of in the Book of Ages, then you're here for a reason. Julian has guided your footsteps here and the footsteps of your friends. You can put an end to the cult of denial. You can destroy them. They know this. Then, oh, wait, and then there's a banging on the door, and he's like, shh, 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 shh. And
as soon as he does that, I assume he stops talking.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast auditory illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have a voice come from behind, if I can. Mm-hmm. I don't have the actual details of the spell, but like come from the building across the street, like up high, like up in a high window or something. And I have a voice say, Me over here, ya fools.
Okay, well, it comes from the direction of your choice.
Yep.
And so yeah, and you guys aren't really looking at it. You can see their silhouettes outside the curtain against the lamplight of the street. And like, whoop, he's over there, up there. And, well, your mighty magic has bought us a few moments. As I say, I believe you can put an end to this cult. That's why you're here. I believe they've foreseen that you can destroy them. That's why the priest of the White Circle ordered your arrest, and that's why the priest of the Red Circle would convict you tomorrow, and that's why on the third day the priest of the Black Circle would sacrifice you at the Pyramid of the Pit. But the good news is you don't have to fight this whole cult all at once. You just have to kill the priest of the Black Circle. When he is fallen, the people they'll rise up against the other two priests, and the gendarmes themselves will probably rise up against the vigilant guard. So, but the priest of the Black Circle is at the Pyramid of the Pit, which you may have seen, outside of the town. But luckily for you, I know a secret way out of the city. Do you wish to do this for us?
Well, this is the stuff that heroes are made of.
That's true.
I guess we have no choice. I mean, how hard could it be to defeat one priest? I mean, there won't be easy. We are kind of feeling a bit down right now. We're injured.
Injured, yes. That is a hard thing to deal with. But luckily for you, if you come in the back here, I think I can help you. And he takes you in the back and gives each of you. He opens up a box and he pulls out a can, 3 cans with a red heart on them. Luckily for you, I have some emergency red drink. It's only to be consumed in absolute emergencies. But it's not a cure-all. It's not a cure-all by any means, but it should restore you to some measure of health. And if you want to go ahead and crack it open and listen to it fizz and pop.
I don't question anything with a red heart on it. I know that's good stuff.
That is the good stuff, absolutely. I wish I, too, was a knave who could wield sword and magic as well as you, but no, I was saving this for in case I ever got beat up, but I think this will be for a good cause, because I know if you can defeat the priest of the Black Circle, we can put an end to the cult of denial, and you will be treated as the heroes that you truly are. But we don't have much time before they figure out your trickery, so he leads you into a back room, and he leads you into the garderobe, or the bathroom, and there's a bench with a hole in it, and he pulls up the bench, and there's a hole. He's just pointing straight down the hole. This pit runs straight into the unsanitary sewers. They're built at just enough of a slope that they run outside of town, across the plain, under the pyramid, and into the pit itself, you see. But if you were to go through there, you could crawl out of the tunnel just under the lip of the pit. And then, being the great heroes that you are, you should be able to climb up the Black Pyramid. For I believe that the priest of the Black Circle has his quarters at the very top. That's where they start the long slide of the sacrifices into the pit.
Well, yes, that sounds like a plan.
Well, I hope so. Do you have any reservations? Other than the terrible smell that you must smell coming up from there.
Sounds like a suicide mission to me.
Suicide mission.
Oh, suicide mission. Well, it may well be, but I don't know how you'll spend the next 31 minutes if you decline.
Well, when I seen that you was a cobbler coming to our aid, I was hoping we could have some peach cobbler or something, but I misunderstood what kind of cobbler you were.
Oh, Squirg, you're always thinking about that belly of yours.
Well, it is mighty flabby.
Well,
it's flabbergasting.
Oh my God! Would that I could fill it with cobbler of the most delicious description, but you'd be surprised how often that happens. Someone knocks the door looking for cherry cobbler or peach cobbler, and it's just I'm always forced to send people away in disappointment. I don't know. I have a giant shoe hanging outside. Perhaps if I were to start serving cobbler and shoes, that would be a very good business model. But and suddenly there's another banging on the door. Open up! We're checking all doors randomly. Open up! And there's quick, get down. I'll delay them.
Into the sewers with us, then.
Okay, well, it's a long climb down. It's basically just a shit chute that runs down maybe 30 or 40 feet. And I'll have to ask you guys to climb down. Now, you can use your strength or your dexterity, and you can do so with advantage because it's narrow enough that you can kind of, what do they call that, where you can kind of touch both edges with your hands and feet, and sort of spider climb down. But we may roll with advantage. You need a 16 or greater because we want to beat a 15. Uh-oh.
Oh,
no! Okay, well, now, because I didn't ask you what order you were climbing in, we have to do a little something funny here. We need to randomly determine what order you guys were actually in. So, if each of you would roll a d6 or whatever, dice you all happen to have. I don't know if Squirg actually has a d6 this time.
Squirg does not.
Okay. well, let's all roll a d10 or a d20.
I do have a d10.
Okay.
I do have a d10.
All right. And then we'll just first, second, third. Because if somebody's last and they fall, they might hit somebody down below. It's so narrow.
And, of course, I rolled a 10.
Oh, no. Okay. And
I rolled a 3.
Okay, well, Jubal was first. And then, but, unfortunately, and then, of course, Squirg was second. And I can see from Joe's finger movements that Sioux Fastmane would have been last. But both of those guys fell. And
actually, I think Sioux would have been second.
Oh, I thought you
were first with a 3. I had a 9.
Okay, I couldn't. I just saw a bunch of fingers up. I didn't count every single finger. So, unfortunately, though, yeah, I mean, Jubal, you are trying to brace yourself, but you gave these guys just thunk into you, and only because I'm super generous will I allow you to make a strength roll at. You know what? I'm gonna do it again. A double disadvantage, one disadvantage for each guy. So roll 3 times and pick your worst one. Okay. Listeners should know that double disadvantage is not a thing in Knave, but Knave, one thing I really love about Knave is that right in the first paragraph we were told that adding, subtracting, and modifying rules is both expected and encouraged.
Yeah, so my lowest roll is a 5.
Oh no! Well, you guys all just crumble down. You fall the rest of the way, and everybody takes 1 point of damage from their resounding thud as
clumsy oafs.
as they land in as you guys land in about, luckily it's only about ankle deep, but it's just absolute filth. There's just liquid filth down here.
Now I'm gonna have to drink my health potion.
Yeah, and I forgot to tell you guys when you did drink your health potions, if you already did it.
Drink it.
Well, remember you guys cracked it or whatever we said, but it doesn't matter. But everybody who does drink one, go ahead and take 15 hit points back.
All right.
It's a 15 milligram red drink. Yeah.
Sue is gonna drink his and then crush the can.
Of course. You're already down here, and you want to throw it on the ground dramatically since you're down here in the sewer anyway?
Of course.
Okay. All right. So, having fallen to the bottom and taken a little bit of bruising, but now you find yourself in, and it's easy to know which way it goes. You guys said it was built at a slight slope, and even though there's no dwarves here, you can all detect the slight slope, as you can see the way the channel's running. I mean, it's not like a very strong current, but you can see every now and then there's a little turd or a piece of trash, it's just being carried along in the current. And I assume you guys will walk out that way because, I mean, maybe you could just escape from the town and then walk off and not actually try to go up against the priest. But you could make a real difference for the people of Hadoro-Tyros.
We can't call this escape from Hadoro-Tyros because we didn't get our buckled shoes or whatever.
Right. Well, anyway, you guys make your way as best you can. down the pipe, and you know, it echoes a lot down here, and you swear you can hear guards bursting in up above you, and you can hear a scuffle, and you're afraid that Good Mulligan Cobbler may be actually in a tussle with the guards up there, but he's beyond help now. I hope he didn't give his life to buy you guys these extra few minutes.
Well, let's just make sure it wasn't in vain.
Yeah, but you know, he did close the bench, the toilet bench seat, so it might take him a while to figure out what happened to you. Now, as I said, the muck is about ankle deep, and it's terrible, and it's running slowly.
We were in disguises.
Yeah,
don't know how.
The disguise should still be on. Like, most of these spells are extremely vague, but they will, most of the time, the duration will usually last a number of rounds equal to the caster's level. And so I think that our friend Sioux is like 4th level, so it would have lasted about 4 rounds or so. And no, that's about 40 minutes or so. I'm sorry. It's like L times 10 minutes is about how long a spell with an ongoing effect lasts. So for about the next 37 and a half minutes, you should be, for the rest of this episode, if it plays out in real time, you should be still in disguise as normal citizens of Hadoro-Tyros. But yeah, you think as you follow the slope and you follow the effluent, and there's not like side channels or anything else, but there's plenty of holes up above you, right? And so as you're walking along, you just never know when you just might get shot up by the first person I rolled for. Oh my god, there's another 6. I was 664. So, assuming you're walking more or less in the order that you fell in, Jubal, I hate to tell you, but you just slopped on the head.
Ow.
And someone has had way too much moo stew, and they've had a bad bowel movement. It just rains down on you, and it's so bad that it like splatters onto Squirg as well. And what's worse about Squirg is, even though it smells like shit, you can still smell the faint smell of moo stew in there too, so it's like not entirely unappealing, which makes it even grosser. And you guys are splattered with feces.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Me never gonna eat moo stew again.
I know, I hope not. Meanwhile, though, Sue Fastmane's magnificent red line-like mane of hair is untouched by the splatter. He's too far away. But you continue on down the tunnel, and you follow what you're assuming is, as the guy told you, would lead in the direction of the pyramid, and that was outside of town across a narrow plain. So, you walk out, you're probably under that plain right now. You can just imagine, for all you know, they're searching around for you up above you on the plain right now. But it's almost peaceful down here, except for the foulness of it. And eventually, though, up ahead you can see some writhing purple smoke, like in the tunnel. And if it's true that this tunnel would exit just under the lip, just under the edge of the pit, then probably some of that purple smoke from the pit is getting in here. But it makes it difficult to see. And the slope actually increases, so it's going downwards more, and it's slimy and slippery, and it's hard to see because of the smoke. I'm gonna have to have everybody make dexterity rolls just to avoid slipping and sliding down the rest of the way. And I hope you make it, because you're all in here and it's rather tight quarters and you can help each other out. I'm comfortable with saying you could do this with advantage.
And what are we rolling?
Making dexterity tests, and you need a 16 or higher basically for everything. 15 is the difficulty number that you must roll greater than.
Sue gets an 8.
Uh-oh. But everybody else is okay?
Yeah, I got a 16.
Yes.
All right.
19.
Okay, well, Sue is last in line, which in this case is good, because Sue's a big fellow, but I don't know if he's big enough to completely bowl everyone over. He hasn't had like a huge amount of distance or momentum. So you hear a slip and a splash, and Sue, you come sliding down on your butt right into these other guys, but you two guys can make strength rolls to try to stop him. If you fail, he'll just blow right past you.
Could Sioux try to use his axe to stop him, son?
Well, maybe if they don't, he might have to if they can't stop him.
I failed.
Oh no!
I failed.
Oh no! You go sliding, and you're picking up speed, and you can just picture yourself sliding right out of this tunnel, right into the pit. So you better get out that axe, and this will be a strength roll. I think maybe I would give you advantage for the axe and for cleverness.
I'm gonna stick with my roll. I rolled before you said advantage, and I got a 21.
Okay, well that's good. You don't need the advantage then. So you scrape along for a while, but eventually your axe sticks in some of the stonework that is beneath, this channel of feces, and you're able to stop yourself from falling right out. But when you look over at your feet, even though there's so much purple smoke, you can see a little way, and you're right at the edge of the tunnel. I mean, you barely stopped yourself before you flew out. And when I say the tunnel exits right under the lip or under the edge of the pit, you realize that the pyramid itself is not that far above you. I mean, it must be just above and behind you, because you remember the pyramid was right at the edge of the pit. Now you can't see the end of the pit because A, is dark, and B, is filled with purple smoke that's rising up out of it. But here you are at the edge. If you can picture that you'd have to climb the wall above you and get to the base of the pyramid, which would be above and behind you. It's a very, very, very short climb. And unless you have some clever way up, we'll have to just do a couple quick climbing rolls, unless anyone has some rope or anything that they might want to use, since you have a little bit more time to prepare for this climb, unlike your last one.
Yeah, I do have some rope.
Oh, well, that's good news. That's good news. So
It's a little shy of 50 feet since we had to sacrifice a little bit of it.
that's true, but you got plenty of rope, and so you can loop it, and then hook it onto a boulder that's jutting out above you. And it's a bit of a scary moment when you got to trust in the rope and climb up, and leave the tunnel, and hand over hand, you guys make it up the rope, and you find yourself at the base of the Black Pyramid. And of course, the purple smokes are obscuring the sky, but you can of course see the green moon, Luna Verdium, where the elves come from, and you can of course see the burning nebula, and the Loon, which is a constellation, and Serapis, the demon star, and the empty star, which is just a ring, and all the other familiar nighttime scenes. But looming up over you is a huge black pyramid. It's a step pyramid, like a ziggurat, really. And right down the middle of it is this big metal slide. It's pretty wide, and it goes all the way up to the top. Thing is that climbing this pyramid itself looks like it's going to be a massive pain. The steps are just, exhausting. There's hundreds of steps, and the steps are just big enough that for a normal size human, it's a really, really big step. You gotta lift your knee way up, not like normal stairs. You can imagine how exhausting it would be. And Jubal could, the steps are taller than Jubal practically. So, can you guys think of any quicker way up to the very top of the pyramid? Does anyone have any quick way somewhere?
I think maybe we should. Why don't we use my phantom coach?
Well, it is after midnight, which would make it a new day.
I can't think of anything that would be faster than that, although I don't know if he has go-go gadget wheels that pop out, he can jump up the stairs, or how that would work. But
well, I was thinking we could just go straight up this slide here.
Ooh, okay. Not a bad idea. I like it. So yeah, if you want to summon the phantom coach yet again, but suddenly, you hear some music. It's hard to explain. It's not the same music you heard last time. It sounds like kind of makes you want to dance, and it has a synthetic quality to it. And you can hear this roaring sound, and appearing out of nowhere. If you were from our world, you would see what would look like a Ferrari 308 GTS, and it's red. And the window comes down, and you see this really attractive female body in a white cleavagey jumpsuit and all this blonde feathered hair of the driver. But when the driver turns around, she's got a skull face, and she says, and as you know, as you were told last time, there's only one phantom coachman, but he/she, they have many different faces. And she says, well, hubba hubba, where to, fellas?
To the top of the pyramid.
You got enough room in that coach for 3 of us?
Oh, you know what? I think I can squeeze you guys in. So you little one might have to sit on my lap. Are you too much of a big boy to sit on Mama's lap and steer? She says to you, Jubal.
Well, it makes me uncomfortable when you say it like that, but I am certainly willing to perch upon your thighs and steer if I need to.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to hop in, it is a tight squeeze. In fact, I mean, I've seen a picture of that car, but I didn't really stop to check whether it actually has a back seat or anything like that. Well, then somebody's riding on the trunk. You know what I mean? You're just hang on to the back.
No, well, me was gonna ask Sue if me might sit on his lap.
Okay, there you go. Sue, are you comfortable with Squirg sitting his flabby ass down on your lap?
I was picturing Sue standing on top with his axe raised, like looking like the cover of a heavy metal album.
Okay. All right.
You don't want me sitting on your lap, Sue? What's wrong with you, man?
And I think he'd rather look like a cover of a Molly Hatchet record, which is not really metal, but their album covers are generally fairly metal.
I was gonna make a joke about accidentally sitting on the shift lever.
Accident my ass. Yeah. Sure, you accidentally sat on it.
You're headed for an accident, my friend.
Oh, my God. It's a 1 in a million shot, Doc. I don't know how it happened. Anyway, you guys, she revs the engine, and she starts tearing right up that slide. And she's gunning it. She's going really, really fast up the slide. Now, you are standing on top of a phantom coach wielding an axe going up a slide. So you're just going to have to be really, really careful. But you guys get up high enough, and you can see that there's this squat but phallic-looking temple on top of the pyramid. And you guys get closer and closer and closer and closer. And she goes, you want to go inside, or you want me to drop you off outside? Got about 3 seconds to tell me.
Oh, well, I think we're going to go outside, then we can plan some stuff.
Or it would be a more... Methinks it would be a more dramatic entrance if we took the coach inside.
Yes, always quite a surprise if we come inside.
Okay. All right. Then we'll come inside. No sense in pulling out at this point. And she guns it, and the phantom coach just smashes through the stained glass facade in front of this squat phallic temple. And glass shatters everywhere. And even in doing that... Okay, see you next time, big boys. And she disappears. The phantom coach, dematerializes, and you guys find yourselves there in a temple facing a man with a huge mane of purple hair. It looks like it's dyed with like oily residue from the smoke. He's wearing black robes. His hair is like fried out all over his head, though, like Doc Brown, and he's looking at it with great big wide eyes. He knew there was trouble, but he did not expect this. Although he had probably had a few seconds of warning for the headlights, lighting up the stained glass windows before you guys bashed in. And of course, you're a little bit rolling around, but everybody gets a hold of themselves and goes, well, says the priest of the black circle. Oh, I'm sure you think you're all quite special, don't you?
Well, yes, I think we are special.
We were wondering if you had a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Julian.
Oh, well, I will tell you this. Yulian is nothing, and the only thing that matters is nothing, and therefore you are nothing, and I fear nothing. And so you who would bring false hope to those already dead must now pay the price and be ejected from this eternal life and be the food to the abominable gods of nothing who live in that pit. And he rushes over to you guys with surprising dexterity, and he seems like he's in pretty great shape too. So why don't you guys roll initiative?
And I guess I will go. And I rolled a 5.
Okay, that means you guys go first, which is good because, you know, you're at the point where, I'll just tell you, he could potentially kill one of you guys with one or two things he can do. So I can only hope you can put him down before his turn.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any big ideas. Maybe Sioux wants to go first.
I think fate has called you, Sioux. Looks like you're going first. You're the biggest guy. You got the biggest axe.
Yes, I was hoping to save the axe, but...
And I'll say this guy doesn't have any weapons either. He's like actually in this almost like kung fu pose, like he's going to get you with a chi fist or something.
We know how Sioux likes to solve things, so...
Yeah. And there goes the axe. I heard that one.
But it's only a 13.
And hey, guess what? Good for you. His armor defense is 12. Therefore, you have hit him. But we need big damage, friends.
Yeah, I just nicked him with a 3.
Okay, well, you know what? Every little bit helps. We're going to make note of that. He's taken 3 points of damage. And Squirg, what do you do, my friend Squirg?
Well, Squirg... Squirg senses the gravity of the moment.
Yes.
And he carries with him a sack. And in that sack he has a flask of lamp oil, I believe. So he's going to take that out and attempt to pour it all over this priest.
Okay, well, that sounds like a classic stunt, which we handle as a versus save. So you can, whatever you feel will give you the best shot at that. We can call it a dexterity save, or we can call it a ranged attack, whichever you think will give you the best chance. The priest of the Black Circle will, of course, make a dexterity save, and he has, well, you know what? He has a 14, which would require a 15 or more from you.
Well, Squirg rolled a 17.
Okay, but you know, I actually did that wrong, but it doesn't matter now because you still succeeded. He would not be actually rolling for you Knave aficionados, because the odds are all the same. You just beat his score, but you did. And he's now squirted and doused with the lamp oil. You know, and he's got that fry. Remember I said his hair, I didn't think of this, but it looked like he had dyed his hair with like the oily residue, like he's slicking it back and it's all fried up from the oily residue from the smoke. Maybe that can help us in this situation. But that is your turn. And then Jubal, what do you do?
All right, so what else is in this room that we're in, this temple?
Well, there's a few braziers, but they're all fairly free. You don't have to move to them. You know, you'd have to run over and get one. Some incense. Other than that, Joe, though, it's not like his personal quarters. It's fairly Spartan. But you can certainly picture some braziers, by which I mean like open plates with like hot coals, you know, that incense is burning on.
Well, I think I would like to cast teleport. And I'm going to teleport some of those, or at least one of those braziers, right down the ground, right in front of the guy. Right in the,
Oh, yeah.
Puddle of oil.
Yeah, puddle of oil.
Right. Okay, well, and you can certainly do that. An object disappears and reappears in a clear visible area, and you're well within the range of the spell. So I see now of course it's just coals, it's not like flaming, but I think maybe if no one has a turn left, but if you two who are left might need to blow on it. Quick, make a dexterity test to blow on it. Blow on the coals, raise that flame. Both Squirg and, well, all of you are still here. If even one of you can make it, I'll see the guy going up in flames, because we just need to get a bit of a flame going instead of these little sparks. He's wearing the long robe.
I got a 16.
Hey!
I got an 18.
Hey, guess what? You guys both blow, and the robe goes up. He screams, "No! No!" But he's not dead yet. You know what I mean? It takes a while to burn to death. So
I should point out the proximity of Sioux to this conflagration, just in case there is collateral damage.
Well, I don't remember you previously stating that you were standing really far away from it, but where are you then in your mind?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm right there. Because I was
thank you. Good. I thought you were going to try to... Well, you probably are going to go. I'm hoping that... no, you guys won't catch fire, but I didn't want you to be magically far away all of a sudden, because... And even if you were, he's got time for one last thing he can do. And suddenly, he raises up his hands, and even though he's on fire, these purple lightning bolts just start crackling back and forth between his fingers, and he's full-on Emperor Palpatine-style lightning bolts, right? And he flays his hands out towards you, and a bolt of lightning crackles out, and it chains between all of you, and each of you...
Can Sioux try to pull out his mirror and deflect the lightning that's coming towards him?
It would be lovely if it were still your turn, but it's his turn, and
I didn't know if we could react.
No, not really. No, there's no active defense, but I love the idea, and that would have been great. He's already going to die, though. This is just his final, and each of you takes 11 points of lightning damage, and you're hurled back from him. You're hurled back from him a little bit, right to the edge of the slide. Not to where you're sliding down the slide, but you're hurled back from him, and that's good, because when he finally does die, he screams at the top of his lungs. Once his hair goes up, once his resin-coated hair goes up, he screams at the top of his lungs. Then his entire body explodes in a great big explosion. And now I need you guys to make dexterity tests to get the hell out of the way from the explosion. So you won't...
Not quite a blue explosion, but it was purple, so that's close.
Yes.
Ooh, 16 right on.
Okay, good. How about the rest of you guys?
13.
20.
13. Oh, no. Well, I'm afraid that you are further hit with some chunks of flaming debris for 4 points of damage, so hopefully it does not put you under. But, and there's the sickening, sweet smell of his body, and the lightning kind of plays itself out on the floor and runs to ground, and you realize that he's actually dead. But because that explosion, when he exploded, was so loud, you guys can hear there's actually some roaring from outside now, and it's not roaring like a monster or a wind. It takes you a while to realize it's people. The sound that you're hearing is the people of Hadoro-Tyros rising up, just like it was predicted. Once they realized there's trouble in the pyramid, and once they realized through the great explosion that the priest of the Black Circle is dead, you can only hope. Yeah, you've done it, and you realize that too as we slip back into narrative time here, and over the course of the next few hours, the people of Hadoro-Tyros, including most of the gendarmes, have risen up. They've killed the priest of the White Circle and the priest of the Red Circle. Actually, when you, from your apartment up here, actually this compartment on top of the pyramid, this temple, you could probably see them chasing this priest out into the plain in between the city walls and the pyramid, and giving them the Mussolini treatment, as they just rip these guys to shreds and kill them with mob violence. And Mulligan himself, he apparently did live through that fight, and he climbs wearily up the pyramid with several people from the village, and thank you all so much. You've destroyed the cult of denial. Now this pyramid and this sacred temple can go back to its original uses, which was sacrificing people so that the sun doesn't explode. Thank you so much.
Well,
Who doesn't love a happy ending?
That's right. Well, you know what? That night you guys are feasted and you're honored and there's much rejoicing, and you can almost forget that the world must soon end and that you're only living in a temporary reprieve, and you hope the sun does not snuff out dearth before you get a chance to see someday that fabulous city of Ceres Arcs, for which you have traveled so far and so long, some of you for 7 non-consecutive episodes now. And so the next day you leave the good people of Hadoro-Tyros and set off once more across dearth, across deserts of pearl ash, and over marbled rounded mountains, and through seas of petroleum syrup, and through gleaming neon forests, headed toward your destiny. And next week we'll be back with something completely different and a little special, or next time after our week break.
Me can only imagine that in a time of apocalypse like this, when the sun is big and red, with some crazy denial cult, authoritarian denial cult, have just come up and start oppressing people and being crazy and using violence and shit.
I know.
That's just crazy talk. That can't ever have happened before.
It is absolute crazy talk.
Hey everybody, if you like our podcast, don't forget to leave us a good rating and or review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, or wherever you're able. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at Goonies_world, and check out our website at GooniesWorldPodcast.com. Email us at GooniesWorldPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.